Good afternoon guys and welcome back to this channel. Chris Dennis here, putting specialist and short game performance coach. So something a little bit different today. You'll probably have seen a lot of videos out about these wedges today, and what we're going to be talking about is the new Callaway Jaws full toe. So a little bit, like I say, a little bit different, a little bit of a review. We're going to compare these and show you the differences between the new Jaws and the previous Jaws. The first thing we're going to do to obviously compare these two wedges is hit a couple of shots, show you what's going to be different. Put you a clip on the screen now which is going to show you obviously the new full toe wedges. So the previous Callaway wedge that you will have seen that had obviously grooves all the way to the end of the face was the Phil Mickelson, the PM grind. As we know, James Robinson had one of those. I did try that and it was very much different looking to this. So we have had a lot of changes in these wedges, which has been based on feedback from tour players, feedback what they like to see. And there's a couple of things that have made a real big difference from what I've seen compared to the previous Jaws. And to be honest, normally I don't say equipment can help you drastically. Obviously, yes, I do want you to get fitted for stuff, but it's not going to make a huge difference. But these wedges are something that I would say can improve you around the green. So for those guys who don't always get centered strikes, even some techniques will try and hit the ball off the toe. This is going to give you more spin, and the biggest sales point they're going is they are saying the most spinning wedge or serious spin that you're going to get off these wedges. And the reason being is because they've got grooves all the way to the toe, so we are going to be able to, even those off-centered strikes, those ones that we do catch on the toe, are going to get more spin. So one of the other things as we look down at the wedge, and you will have seen on the videos, is it's now got a raw finish. So the raw finish here, it's not sunny today on the Costa del Rotherham, but we can see when we look down at the wedges, there's a lot less glare. So if it was sunny, if I was away, if I was overseas, or if it was just sunny in Rotherham, we'd be getting a lot of glare. And a lot of times when people get into bunkers, open up that club face, the sun's shining straight in their eyes, and there's not a lot we can do with that. But this face allows us now to play in all conditions. If it is sunny, we're not going to get that glare that might cost us sillily a couple of shots. Straight away, looking down at the wedges, compared to the Phil Mickelson grind, which I'll also put on screen now, is we can see that there's not as much rounded edge. So it's a straighter leading edge here. So the straighter leading edge, and I'll put the video on so it's easy for you to see. The straighter leading edge looks a lot better down behind the ball. It looks like it's a lot easier for us to make a strike. One other thing compared to that wedge is the top line here. It was very steep on the Phil Mickelson. Here it's now less aggressive. It looks more like a normal wedge as we look down at that. So although the grooves are to the end of the face, it's not something that's really obvious. It's not sticking out. It's not going to look totally different to the wedges that you've got. When it comes to spin, like we've always said, you know, we have to have a good strike, but the grooves will help us. So they have got a new in-groove design here, so grooves within a groove to help us get that little bit more spin off the ball. Again, it all depends on the conditions. This review is probably going to be a little bit different to the guys who are getting more into all the technical stuff. I want to talk about how it's going to help you and how it's going to make improvements to your short game. So alongside that, and we'll go round the green now and hit different shots, and we'll show you how, for me, the grooves all the way to the toe are going to help on shots. If we're trying to play a flop shot, maybe even if we're in the thick rough, we're going to get more spin because it's going to have more chance to run across the face and still be on a groove. So it's still going to have a little bit more grip. So let's move around the green now. Let's play some different shots. I'll also show you how they're going to help you in the bunker. So again, the sun has just come out on the Costa del, but we can see the difference there straight away of how we've got the shiny face. We can already see the sun reflecting off that, and then we've got the raw finish. So two different finishes there, but they're going to give us a lot better or a lot different visuals as we look down. So here's a prime example of a shot that we might be getting at the moment. Obviously with the conditions that we've had, the rough's quite thick on the golf course at the minute, and we're going to get some that are sat down on the edge of the green. And this is where we're going to need a lot of speed, and obviously one way even to play this shot is to play it more like a flop shot. So here's for me where we have a big difference compared to the Jaws wedge, the previous Jaws wedge. With the grooves going all the way to the toe, I can let that ball run across the face and it'll still be gripping there. So we'll still have some control on what kind of spin we're going to get even out of this lie. We're still going to get more than we would with the previous Jaws. And if we can get that obviously around the greens, we can be a lot more confident there. And from there we can be aggressive and trust the shot. We know what kind of spin we're going to get. We can take a big swing. That's flighted nicely, landed next to the pin and not ran out too far. So one other thing that obviously with the wedges, what they have done here, if you have the previous Jaws and you do sit them down next to it, which I'll grab now so I can show you as an example. So these are both 56 degrees. When we open those up, the new Jaws wedge sits a lot closer to the ground. So what they've done is they've added a little bit of heel relief and a little bit of toe relief. So when you are trying to play flop shots, it's much tighter to the ground. What happened with the previous wedges, this edge here would sit a little bit too high off the ground. And if we didn't match it up perfect for the average golfer, we'd be hitting the one that would have gone straight into the bushes. So caught it a little bit thin, it was very hard to time. And that also made a massive effect in the bunkers. So we'll hit some bunker shots after this shot and we'll show you that it will be making it a lot easier for you to get good consistent divots, get underneath the ball without having as much chance of blading that. And then from there we can have more confidence. It sits nicer to the ground, the leading edge is nicer, we've got all the grooves that are going to add us some more spin. So versatility, can play all the different shots for your average golfer because they've moved more weight out into the toe and into the heel, so the off-centre strikes on longer shots will still be more consistent. We'll go and hit a couple of those shortly over on the pitching green and show you how, as a rule, I'm not always one for bigging up equipment, but these wedges are the first Callaway wedge I would say that I would put in the bag. I think the grooves work well, it sits nice and it looks just like something like a Vokey, which I do like. They're a lot better on the eye and they have a lot more things going for them for you to perform better. So let me hit one now with the previous Jaws and we'll see what kind of feedback. So already here I can see that the heel's sticking up a little bit more. Okay, came out a little bit hotter. Again, didn't stop as quick either. Went a little bit further than I wanted to. Just there, the confidence, because I know that heel's a little bit higher in the air when I open it up. It wanted me to be a little bit more with the hands. Added a little bit more speed and didn't fill me with confidence. So one of the things that I was always aware of with this wedge is when we did open it, that's what would happen. With the Vokeys that I've used for the past 4 or 5 years, it was very much when I opened it, it sat closer to the ground. Again, the heel and toe relief allowed it to sit a lot flusher. From there, it was able to be a lot more positive. So now into the bunker, and like we've talked about, the groove technology, as Callaway call it, and I've just read up again that they do call it the spin machine was the terminology I was looking for. So the groove here in the bunker could allow us to be able to get more spin, generate more spin coming out of the bunker. Opening the club is less offset, which is the one thing that I did miss out. There's less offset on these jaw wedges than there is on the previous, so it's easier for me to set that up and not look like I'm going to hit the dreaded word we won't use. I can be really aggressive in the bunkers. So here, this is a 56, I'm not using 60. We're able to open that wide up and I feel very confident that I can trust this one, be able to get that working up. That worked up, a nice, not too steep divot, popped up nicely and went towards the flag. If I want to play a longer shot, we can close that up a little bit. I can play the same kind of motion. And that's probably gone 20 or 30 yards, but you'll see there it's not took a massive divot. So the relief that they've got in the toe and the heel allows us really to be positive with those shots, and we're not going to be very steep. What I found with the previous Jaws wedges, if we did close that up, It was very quick to take a steep divot, and we might not get the distance. It might either come up short and just get onto the green, or it'd come out too hot and work towards there. So in the bunkers, very much able to use that, be positive. We don't have to go straight to 60. I know people say I've got a thing against 60s, but this wedge now allows us, with that heel relief, to open it up wide up. We can have it as open as we like. We can get it all the way open to more than a 60 degree, and from there we can be positive that that's going to pop up nicely, be nice and shallow. So let's have a quick talk about how it's going to help us with pitching, because we don't only want it to be good around the edge of the greens and save us shots there, we also want to be having more flight control and more spin control on your 50 to 120 yard shots. So let's go over. So here we are over on the pitching side now, and we've got around about a 60 yard shot, one that most people don't like because they're not sure how far to take the club back. Normally they don't always get a centered strike, and then it's hard for them to judge their distance. So the big things with the new Jaws wedges, they have moved the CG out towards the toe. So for me, the way I teach these shots, we are going to be that little bit closer, and the heel is going to be off a little bit off the ground. So we are going to be favouring towards the toe. And what a lot of people do with the previous Jaws wedges is struggle with distance control and how fast that comes off the face. Here, with more weight being out towards the toe, we're going to be more consistent on how fast that's coming off, how it's launching, and how much spin we're going to get. So it's ticking all the boxes that we want to get. So in here now, I'm a little bit closer, I'm a little bit taller, and if I hit this shot now, which is favouring towards the toe, you can see it launches pretty nice, landed on a downslope, but still managed to check there. So that was, I would say that was, well, we can see around about here on the face. So very much on the toe, and this is common for most golfers, even if you're not trying to do it. A lot of times we see people cut across and it's hitting the toe. This again will allow that ball to come off with the correct amount of speed for the shot and generate a little bit more spin, so you can trust how far that's going to go.